cameras going up that you guys aren't comfortable with, but now we are recording now. And so
Great.
what I'm going to do is just introduce you. You are the new CEO of Kelly Moore Paint. You guys are I usually say where you're headquartered. What do you want me to use there?
Well, as I'm sitting here with you today in our new headquarters in Las Colinas, Texas.
Terrific. New HQ in Las Colinas.
Yeah, you can just say Irving, Texas. Irving,
Oh,
Texas.
Irving. Yeah. I've been to Irving.
Right,
Nice.
right by DFW Airport.
Yep. Actually went not that many years ago. My girlfriend and I went down in like maybe late September, early October to Dallas. We caught a Rangers game, Cowboys game, and then did all the museums and
Yeah.
saw where Kennedy was killed and everything in the middle. So that's a cool area. And so you're at the new corporate headquarters in Irving, Texas, and your last name is pronounced Gassenheimer, right?
Correct.
There you go. All right, I'm ready when you are.
Let's roll.
And so, by the way, I do the intro to this after we record. And so we're just going to jump right into it here.
Okay, no problem.
Hey, everybody, thanks for joining me today. It's Mark. With me today on my podcast is the new CEO of Kelly Moore, headquartered in Irving, Texas, Charles Gassenheimer. Charles, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah, so good to be with you, Mark. Thanks for the time.
Yeah, thank you for making the time. And so there's a lot of people interested in what Kelly Moore is doing in the independent channel. Before we get to that, tell us a little bit about your history and how you ended up here.
Yeah, thanks. So, look, I've had experience as a corporate CEO. I think this is my 10th time as being CEO of a company. We're eager and excited to be here at Kelly Moore. We see a lot of opportunity. So when I was part of the team that acquired the company on October 1st of last year, we really wanted to jump right in with both feet. And so while I'm new to the paint industry, I am a manufacturing guy at heart. I've built over 2 million square feet of a manufacturing plant in my career. I've been through the processes to get ISO 9001 certified in the manufacturing level. So I'm a manufacturing guy at heart, and so I'm super glad to be back in a manufacturing business again.
Well, let's hope that Kelly Moore put the right man in the right spot. And so before we go on into what you guys have planned in this space, you work for another company. Kelly Moore was bought by a private equity firm. That's the Flax Group, right?
Sorry, ask the question again. For some reason, the line chopped up.
Yep, you're good. And so you work for a private equity firm that bought Kelly Moore. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the Flax Group. So Michael Flax has been a very high net worth individual investor in Europe, mainly in the property markets as well as in the industrials businesses. This is now my second time acquiring a major industrial business in the U.S. with Michael. The first was a business called Horizon Healthcare in Nashville, Tennessee. And so that was a very successful transaction for us. And so we're pretty excited about Kelly Moore.
And so let's get right into it. Kelly Moore is a major manufacturer of coatings in the United States. From what I've understood from some of the releases and conversations I've had, maybe as much as $500 million a year in sales, but most independent retailers, frankly, don't really know the brand. So why don't you tell us what exactly your plans are for Kelly Moore in the channel where they are not heavily represented now?
Yeah, look, it's fascinating, right? The 76-year-old brand. I think for the most part, if you were to ask anybody in Northern California who was going out looking for paint, they'd know Kelly Moore. I think it's very established in the Northern California market just because that's where the company was founded and originally headquartered. I think we moved our manufacturing operations to Hurst, Texas, which is pretty close here to Dallas, in the late 2010s timeframe, 2017, 2018 timeframe. And so we moved all our manufacturing here to Hearst. And then we have 157 stores across Texas, Nevada, California, and Oklahoma. So we've got
Those
a
are
nice
company-owned stores, by the way. Right.
company-owned stores. So we've got a nice footprint in terms of our core business. But one of the things that we think is at least obvious to me is the opportunity to continue to expand our footprint through the dealer channel. And so we see that channel as a huge opportunity. We've got additional capacity in our plant in Hearst, Texas. In fact, we could double our gallon capacity in terms of demand and still not run out of manufacturing capacity at Hearst. So we have an underutilized facility that we think, if you're in particular in the Southwest and Southeastern U.S., what I like to say, a 1 day's drive from Hearst, we're very, very interested. That's not to say we don't want to continue to support our California stores.
And
that's
do you have independent?
Important.
Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt you. We'll clean all of that up, by the way. We don't
No
talk
worries.
over each other during the episode. And once I put it out, I apologize. Just let me get this in, though. Do you have independents in California now?
Yeah, so we have approximately 40 independent dealers today, but it's such a small part of our business. That's not to say we don't support our independent dealer channel, but as I've shared, the gentleman who runs that business for us, I want to see us grow and add 100 new dealers in the next year, and then another 100 and another 100. We just see such a huge opportunity there. And what I could say to you, Mark, is look, if you're an independent dealer or considering different alternatives, we're nimble, we're hungry, we want your business. We're not going to send you a 100-page agreement where you have to ask permission to do X, Y, and Z, right? If you have some sort of customization that you need, we're interested in talking to you. We have a world-class innovation and R&D center in our plant in Hearst, Texas. So even though we're only a mid-sized player compared to some of the other major players, right, we view that as an advantage. We have all of the world-class facilities from a manufacturing, innovation, and R&D that the majors have, but we're also nimble and we also want to be super aggressive. And so I think we provide a pretty attractive alternative to those who might be let's say a little worn out and tired from some of the other players in this channel who might be more restrictive.
And it's not even so much, I find anyway, the opportunity that we're talking about is not even for dealers that are worn out and tired. The category itself, the independent channel itself, Brian, clean that up. The independent channel itself at cost, the purchasing has probably come close to doubling, maybe increasing as much as $1 billion, all inclusive of everything, not just paint. In the last 3 or 4 years, perhaps 500, 600, 700 million of that is paint. And so independent retailers need suppliers for that, right? That's a lot of material all of a sudden to just get from the existing supply chain.
Look, there's no question that we see the same numbers you do. We see the growth. Look, I can't imagine this is a surprise because most of your listeners are very well educated in the coatings industry, but I'm learning it, so I can share with you some of my learnings with fresh eyes. And we see the big box retailer certainly is a growth area, but we see people still want to have the user experience of being able to walk into the store and get that extra customer service that you would need. And I can't imagine that anybody on your program has consumers that have just been completely satisfied with that big box approach. And so while we see that as a growing channel, that's not an area that we plan to take Kelly Moore. We want to continue with the two key tenets of Kelly Moore, which are quality and service. And we'd like to work with dealers who share our enthusiasm for being able to provide that high touch customer service.
And so how do you plan on reaching dealers, obviously, other than coming on my show? How do you plan on reaching? Sorry, I got to get the plug in there a little bit anyway.
Of course.
How do you plan on reaching dealers and letting them know that you have programs that are available for them? Because a year ago that didn't exist.
Yeah, thank you. So obviously, thank you to Mark for having me on.
Right.
Look, I think as we start to think about segmentation and channel marketing, right? I think the answer comes down to some very key basic tenets. I think you'll see us in more of the trade shows coming up over the coming 12 to 18 months. You'll see us have more of a presence. I think you'll see us have more of a presence in terms of our branding and our social media presence, right? And then I think you'll see that we're planning to do more in terms of hosting folks who want to come in and do plant tours, who want to come in and meet us and have a conversation. And I think these are all things that we're accessible with in terms of trying to provide that and demonstrate that we want to go the extra mile for our dealer channel. And without overstepping my bounds on this call, Mark, I can tell you that we're already having meaningful conversations with a number of major players who really want to represent Kelly Moore. And I think that is just fantastic.
Well, good for you. Good luck. I hope that this continues to work out well for you. I think, as I shared with you when we did the prep for this, I think independent retailers need paint right now. And so, as far as I'm concerned, anybody who steps up and says we can make it, we can fill need, I think is going to fill a lot of need for a lot of independent retailers. They're all, very nervous. We've been through a lot the last couple of years as far as supply goes. And
Yeah.
so I'm sorry, keep
Let me
going.
just make let me make a comment on that because look, I think it's interesting. I think that we studied the same numbers that everyone else did. Certainly, 2021 and coming into 22, the global supply chain issues that caused some of our key raw materials to be in short supply. We ended up making paint for others, candidly, other the majors, if you can imagine tolling agreements. So we had supplies when others didn't. I think our supply chain is pretty long, and I think we are pretty thoughtful around our purchasing. So, while I can't turn the page and say, look, that chapter of life is over. I think we all know that there's going to continue to, there's always challenges. There's always the next challenge just around the corner for all of us. But we do feel like we can provide on a cost per gallon basis paint at equivalent price to the big players, but give you that extra high touch finish and give you that guaranteed in stock notion of being able to deliver the paint.
Let's talk a little bit about how you plan on distributing. And by the way, Charles, this off the record, this just came to me as we're sitting here. So this is one of the things that if we fuck it up, we'll just cut it out, right? Or if it's not appropriate, we just cut it out. So let's talk a little bit about how you guys plan on distributing into the channel, because I know that you opened up a distributor in the Northeast. He's been on our show and he's already starting to talk to dealers in the Northeast. Let's talk about the rest of the country. How are you guys planning on distributing?
Yeah, it's great. And obviously I've taken the time to go meet in Aberdeen, New Jersey and see his facility. And we're very supportive of his efforts, and just like we'll be supportive of others. We're opening up in South Florida. We already have warehouse space there. Flax just happens to own warehouse space in Miami. So we think we can go into Florida in a big way. We're looking to partner with others in the Florida market as well. And so I think what you'll see from us is we don't have, this is a white piece of paper for us, right? We don't have some limitation or preconceived notion of what we need to do. And so that flexibility gives us the ability to have multiple conversations. We're already pretty big in the export market into the Caribbean. And I think you'll see us continue that. And I think that's something we can use Miami for a launching off point for, right? And so as we build out the new business plan, the new Kelly Moore, what it looks like, I think what you'll find from us is a tremendous amount of flexibility around understanding what it is that you, the customer, need, and being able to give you that responsiveness rather than saying, here's a 100-page deal agreement, sign it, or basically go away. We don't want your business. I'm not directing that at anyone in particular, but I'm trying to just give people the comfort and understanding that for us, it's about having that conversation on what is it that you need to be successful, because we think we can provide it in a very different way.
And so tell me, the independent retailers that you're hoping to reach are somewhere between, 75 to 85% of their volume goes out to professional painters, depending on, the stores and the mix and the owner. But it's generally speaking in that range. How do you reach that consumer and support the idea of putting effectively an unnamed product, outside of that California area where I do know you guys are very strong, but outside of that, portion of the country where you guys are strong, how do you get painters and other consumers to be willing to use your products?
Yeah. So look, I mean, it's interesting, right? I think there's a couple of answers to that question, right? I think the first answer is as you think about the different opportunities that we have, right? So one, for example, one retailer, we're looking at a store within a store concept. And so there we would put our people into the store and educate the consumer and take the responsibility of doing that, right? And so that could be one idea where we are responsible for the education. In another example, right, if there's a retailer, an independent retailer that's got a trusted brand and name already in the market, we can provide additional marketing dollars to them to get the word out. Look, the one thing I can tell you, and again, because I'm fresh and new to the paint business, I've had to do the work to talk to the voice of the customer and really understand. And the one consistent feedback that I get about Kelly Moore that's different from others is, one, our people make the difference, right? When they come into the stores, our people are incredibly knowledgeable. They know how to understand the customer need and they know how to fill it. And when they come in the store, they can grab a cup of coffee and some donuts and we'll load the paint in their truck and they'll be on their way. And so I'd love to replicate that with everybody.
Right.
But again, I have to meet the customer where the customer wants to be met. But the other answer to answer your question is, when you roll Kelly Moore paint on the wall, you can see the difference almost instantaneously. And so what I have to do and what we have to do is get our product out in the market and say, give us a shot. We'll give you that lifetime guarantee on our product. We'll demonstrate to you that from a quality perspective, we are the David in an industry of Goliaths. We definitely understand that. But we understand that when you put up our paint on the wall, it is just a phenomenally good experience. And so we have to get our paint out there and get people trying it, because literally once they try it once, we believe they'll be converted.
I think that's going to be one of your challenges. We talked about this a little bit in the prep. I think that's going to be one of your challenges. In a lot of the country, professional painters are very attached to the brands that they use. Many of them Sherwin-Williams, many of them Benjamin
Yes.
Moore. But they are whoever is their chosen brand. They're in some parts of the country, it's Kelly Moore, but whatever is their chosen brand, they're very attached to them. And so I think that that's going to be a challenge for you guys. I'm curious to see how that plays out. I certainly think you can do it, but I think that that's going to be a very challenging, portion of this project to undertake.
I don't disagree. And just to be clear, we respect all our competitors' products. Sherwin in particular is the 800-pound gorilla for sure.
Yeah.
And Ben Moore is not to be underestimated, right?
That's certainly not if you're interested in playing in this space.
Right.
Listen, they are the 800-pound gorilla in this category anyway.
No question. So I think, the way to answer that question, right, is, from my perspective, is we don't want to be 19 billion, at least not today, right? We want to stay nimble and the amount of market share capture that we need to capture to achieve our financial goals is so small relative to the overall industry that I'm really not worried about the whole country. And that's not our goal.
Right.
I think we have to throw darts, and I think you're going to see us be laser focused in certain target areas that we think. And again, it's not rocket science. Our manufacturing facility is in Hurst, Texas. So clearly, we want to continue to grow in the Southwest and Southeastern U.S., which is a 1 day's drive from our plant, so that we can really service those customers in a real way. And so I think that's another answer to your question, which is, look, we're not trying to, while we're trying to punch a little bit over our weight class, we are not trying to compete head to head with Sherwin. We respect their market positioning, and same with Ben Moore. We respect their market positioning and what they've been able to accomplish.
And
that's
so
not
then,
to say that maybe one day through acquisitions we can't do that. And I know perhaps you were going to go there, so I'll let you ask more questions. But
I'm not talking about acquisitions until we pause the recording. But
okay.
But yeah, that's definitely on the agenda for today. And so, when getting back to our call here, when can dealers expect to see some of this in the market? You said you're going to start seeing them at trade shows, for example. Were you guys at the National Hardware Show last week?
Yes, we
And
had a
how
big
did that
presence
go for
there.
you?
Fantastic. And again, when I say fantastic, look, we don't have to have the biggest booth and the shiniest toy in the toy box, right? We like to have what I like to call quiet conversations, and when we have quiet conversations, business gets done. We're going to be in Orlando next week as well, at the Builders Show.
Yep.
So we are at all of these major events, right? But we're there in a way that is going to be more understated relative to the major players. But we are there, and we're there in a big way, and we're having the types and quality of conversations that are really, I think, will lead to business, lead to revenue.
Well, there has not been, that I'm aware of, a new major manufacturer come into the independent paint retailer channel, at least in my 30 or so years there. So you guys really stand alone. You're able to blaze your own path, so to speak, if that's what you guys want to do here.
Yeah, I mean, look, hopefully the key takeaways again for me, and if you're an independent retailer and you want to see an alternative, I just hope you give us a chance, right? I formally can tell you we're asking for your business. We think there's a difference with dealing with Kelly Moore, and at the end of the day, we think we can give you the flexibility and the product breadth that you need. So I would hope you'd give us a shot, but I understand that the market is certainly a competitive marketplace. But so we've got to go the extra mile to make sure that we keep you happy.
What an absolutely outstanding way to end it. Charles Gassenheimer, the new CEO of Kelly Moore, thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today. I appreciate the time.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
So that's it. Now you could say whatever you want about